The Gift of Inner Success, Daily Invitations, Chapter 3, with me, Rasheed Ogunlaru, and with you. And I'm delighted to be here with you. My first invitation is to invite you to be here, present with me. This is my gift to you, and you being here is your gift to me. It's very, very possible, it's not an impossibility, that somebody who you barely know knows you even better than you know yourself. It's very, very, very possible for somebody who you've met for the first time to understand you completely, and for you to understand the other deeply. Chapter 3 is the Empress of Clothes. You know, life is a little bit like the Empress of Clothes. I don't know if you remember this story from when you were young, from your childhood. I had a colleague, Margaret Parker, who was a successful author and who worked in training and development. And she wrote books like Tales for Trainers. She was an expert in using stories to help people find their magic. And I was fascinated by this work, and one day we had a conversation. Margaret and I were talking about her company, Success Stories, and she uses stories to help people to affect change with themselves. So Margaret and I were having a conversation. She asked me, Rasheed, what story do you most relate to? And I paused, and I thought about it, and I replied, the Empress of Clothes. In the story, what happens is that the emperor, who is going to have some fancy robes made for an important ceremony, is hoodwinked. And he ends up walking along his parade, flanked on all sides by all of his subjects. And of course, the emperor is naked. The costume of wonderful cloth that has been woven especially for this occasion is non-existent. Everyone has somehow been mystified. They seem to have been enchanted. They seem to believe that he is in these marvelous robes. From my recollection of the story, it's hard to tell whether all the subjects are being duped in some way, or whether they were just afraid, too blind or too bamboozled to see. But then a little boy points out that the emperor is naked. And as soon as he does, everybody else realizes the same thing. The reason I tell this story is I feel that we all live in a world that is a little bit like that. Deep down, we all know. We all have a sense or wanting to reconnect to ourselves. And yet we're living in a world that is externally focused. We all know that we are living in an illusion like the emperor, and that there is little or no substance to it. This is why there's the conflict to which I pointed to in the previous invitation, between the head and the heart. It's as though everyone wants to be themselves, but very few people will say it, and very few people will speak it. That leads us to the heart of the gift of inner success. We know a lot about outer success. We know what we're expected to look like, be like, and we're told what to aspire to personally and professionally. And there are all sorts of ideas about who it is that you are and who it is that you've been told to be from very, very early on in your life. We're so bamboozled by these daily messages in the newspapers and the television, online and radio, and in conversations with everybody we meet. The gift of inner success invites you to discover that which really is in your heart, the inner fulfillment, and true sustainable success. So let's look deeply at that. The best way we can do that is to look directly at your own life. What we're going to do in this is to look at you, to look at where you are, to help you become far more connected to your own heart. It may be that what you might need to do is to translate some of the words that I say into words that really resonate with you. I use the word heart, and for you it might be instinct, intuition, spirit, whatever you call it. So, the Emperor's New Clothes. I was asked the question, what story most resonates with you? I now ask you the question, what story most resonates with you? I really want you to pause. In fact, let's pause right now. I want to invite you just to pause, to be still. I invite you perhaps to close your eyes, to be centered, to put everything down. Just for this moment, just here now, just to be still. Just relax, close your eyes, be very present with yourself. A story comes to mind, which chimes with your life. What story comes to mind? What book, what fable? It might seem something completely abstract. I'm thinking, why on earth has Goldilocks and the Three Bears come into my mind? Why has that story come to my mind? Why has Jack and the Beanstalk come to my mind? Well, maybe Goldilocks and the Three Bears has come to mind because you're always trying to find that is just right. And you can't find it. Or you realise that you're in somebody else's house when you find the thing that you think is just right. Maybe you're thinking of Jack and the Beanstalk because everything you try and create falls down. Or because you're obsessed by finding these giant golden gifts. There will be clues to you in whichever story it is that you pick. For me, the Emperor's New Clothes so chimed with me because so often in my journey, I can remember it many, many times. I remember very early on in my career, I had got this to give a talk at this huge personal development event. I was very mindful that I had to perform at my best because all these big names were speaking there, and I just recorded my talk, Become Who You Are, which comes from the same space as the gift of inner success. And I walked around from stall to stall, and so many things did not chime with me. Everything was focused on this external success. Nobody was telling anybody about the magic they already possessed. So for me, this thing of the Emperor's New Clothes has always chimed with me. But what story is it that chimes with you? I want you to sit with the story. Sit with the story of the coming days, of the coming weeks. What does it tell you about you? What does it tell you about your own story? What does it tell you about what you're seeking? What does it tell you about your own challenges? What does it tell you about your own heart? What does it tell you about your own inner magic? There'll be many, many, many clues. Many clues. And this is the invitation of life. I often say when I'm running talks, workshops and all the rest of it, we're like a jigsaw puzzle of ourselves. We are like a jigsaw puzzle of ourselves. I put it this way in my book, Soul Trader. Until you're clear, nothing is clear. The moment you are clear, everything will be clear. What we're doing with your story, and what we're doing in looking at these stories, is to understand something about all of these different stories that we are given or presented to us, or that we rewrite, and to see if any of it really deeply chimes with who we are. Whether we really are the author of that story, or whether it's just a story that we have been given to hold on to. That we will explore in more detail in further invitations.